Puss in Boots. Once upon a time, there lived a poor miller in a faraway village. When he died, he left to his sons his very old mill, a donkey and a cat. The oldest son inherited the mill. The middle son took the donkey, and the youngest got the cat. "My brothers are luckier than I am," said the young man. "What would I do with a cat?" When he heard these words, the cat replied, "Don't worry, master. Get me a beautiful hat, a pair of boots, and a bag. You'll see, you won't be disappointed." The young man spent every penny he had to provide the cat with the things he asked for. The cat put on the hat, the boots, then took the bag and made his way towards the woods. After filling the bag with fresh grass, the cat lay down on the ground, pretending to be dead. The good smell of grass attracted a rabbit that came near it. Poor little rabbit! In a single leap, Puss in Boots pounced on the animal and captured it in the bag. He then marched directly to the king's palace. "I have a present for His Majesty," said Puss in Boots to the warden. Then he was escorted to the king, who was resting on his throne. He bowed before the sovereign and presented the rabbit. "This is a gift for you, sire. My master sends it to you," said the cat. Delighted, the king accepted the gift and then asked, "And who is your master?" "The Marquis of Carabas," replied the cat. Puss in Boots continued bringing presents to the palace: rabbits, hares, pheasants, partridges. And the king's interest in the strange Marquis of Carabas was more and more growing. During one of his visits to the palace, the cat heard that the king intended to take his daughter, the most beautiful princess in the kingdom, for a drive along the river. So he advised his master to go bathing in the river. "You can trust me," said the cat. The miller's son had no other choice than to execute what he was asked to do. The cat took the young man's clothes and hid them under a rock. When the king came near the river, the cat rushed towards the coach, shouting, "Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, is drowning. Some thieves have stolen his clothes and thrown him into the water." When the king heard the familiar name of the Marquis of Carabas, he ordered his escort to help him. Then he asked them to fetch him some dry and beautiful clothes, worthy of a prince. Afterwards, the king invited the young man to join him in his coach. He took place in front of the young and beautiful princess, who fell in love with him at first sight. The miller's son was in fact a handsome young man, and they went their way, enjoying the ride. Meanwhile, the cat had run ahead of them. When he reached some peasants who were mowing a meadow grass, he said to them, "Good-hearted people, the king will soon be here. You'd better tell him that this meadow belongs to the Marquis of Carabas, otherwise you'll be hearing from me." Puss repeated these words to every peasant he met, and the king believed that all these fields and domains were the property of the so-called Marquis of Carabas. Puss in Boots came before an enormous castle where an ogre lived. In fact, he was the real owner of all the lands that the king had just crossed. He observed the cat and asked him what he was doing in his castle. Knowing that the ogre was endowed with magic powers, Puss said to him, "I heard that you are able to transform yourself into a lion." "That's right," answered the ogre. And to prove it, he turned himself into a big roaring lion. Frightened, the cat ran to hide and then reappeared when the ogre recovered his normal appearance. "That is very impressive," cried the cat out in admiration, "but I still have doubt that you could change yourself into a very small animal, like a mouse, for example." "I can turn into any animal I want," said the ogre, a tiny offended. And to be more convincing, he transformed himself into a very small mouse. What a fatal mistake the ogre committed! Seizing this opportunity, the cat pounced on the mouse and gobbled it up at one go. Shortly afterwards, the coach arrived at the castle. Puss in Boots hurried to welcome the king to the palace of the Marquis of Carabas. They all entered into a vast hall where a big table was set out with delicious meals. This food was in fact prepared for the ogre. Very impressed, the king said to the Marquis of Carabas, "My daughter is fond of you, and I would be delighted if you agreed to be my son-in-law." The young man accepted without hesitation, and the wedding was held the same day. The young newlyweds settled in the ogre's castle. As for Puss in Boots, he became a great lord, only running after mice when he wanted to have fun.